Hello there, welcome to ITV News Meridian in the Thames Valley.
The headlines where you are this Thursday evening. Bringing the magic of Hollywood to Berkshire.
Join me for a behind-the-scenes tour of the £300 million Shinfield Studios as another phase of this massive movie complex nears completion.
The rare brain condition that's left one woman from Windsor with no short-term memory and why she wants to raise awareness.
And a taste of home. Friends who fled the war in Ukraine and settled in Wantage open a baking business that's become so popular they want to expand.
Good evening. A £300 million project to bring a Hollywood-style movie complex to Berkshire has reached the halfway point.
Shinfield Studios in Reading is expected to be fully operational by the end of the year, with big budget, top secret productions already underway there.
When complete, the studios will include 18 world-class sound stages across more than 1 million square feet. Mel Blore has been to take a look around.
There's a buzz in the air above Reading. Film studios, which promised to bring Hollywood to Berkshire, are now halfway through construction. When complete, Shinfield Studios will be one of the largest in the country, home to 18 sound stages and state-of-the-art facilities. They expect to generate around £600 million a year for the UK economy and bring more than 3,000 jobs to the local area.
So we're about halfway through construction at the moment. We've got half a dozen stages open now. We've got a couple more coming on stream very shortly, but all 18 stages will be open and operational by the end of this year. And we expect to attract some very large productions out here. We're standing in a 40,000 square foot soundstage, and this is one that will be coming online within the next couple of months. And if you think, when you go to the cinema, most of what you see on the screen is imaginary, and they create those imaginary worlds inside spaces such as this.
Whilst they may look like ordinary warehouses, these sound stages have been designed to meet the needs of the highest budget TV and film productions. From car crashes to explosions, any scene you can imagine can be shot here, with a little dusting of Hollywood magic, of course.
You could build anything in here. It could be a spaceship, a fight scene, a mountain, anything. The world's your oyster in terms of what you can make and what you can imagine in a space like this.
You need to pick a side.
The UK film and TV industry has bounced back spectacularly from the pandemic, with a record £5.6 billion spent in 2021, making blockbusters such as Mission Impossible 7 and big budget dramas including Bridgerton. And Disney, Netflix and Amazon are showing a greater interest in the UK. We know there are productions taking place at the moment and it's all very top secret, but is there anything you can tell me at all about what's going on here?
I wish I could tell you, and as you know, I can't. All I can say is that we've got some very, very exciting productions here. And once they are announced, the productions that have been here, I think there really would be the wow factor of, oh really, is that what you're able to cater for in this facility?
It was worth a try, but it looks like we'll have to wait a while longer to find out. Mel Blore, ITV News, Shinfield.
Let's get some other news now. And it's been 7 years since 4 workers died when Didcot Power Station collapsed. Michael Collins, Chris Huxtable, Ken Creswell and John Shaw had been preparing the site for demolition when the boiler house collapsed in February 2016. A joint investigation between Thames Valley Police and the Health and Safety Executive is still ongoing. The force says the investigation remains hugely complex with vast amounts of evidence and witness statements. They've extended their condolences to the families involved.
A prison chef from Maidenhead has ended up behind bars himself for smuggling drugs into Coldingley Prison in Bisley. 46-year-old Bongo Williams was stopped by security staff as part of a routine search. They found a carrier bag containing 3 bags of white powder wrapped inside his hat. The drugs had a street value of £650, but were worth even more in prison, up to £6,500. William was sentenced to 6 months in prison.
Police in Oxford have released images of a man they want to speak to following a burglary. At around 5 p.m. on the 7th of January, 2 people broke into a property in Norfolk Street and a number of parcels were stolen. Police say the man in these pictures may have vital information about what happened.
A woman from Windsor says she's been left trapped and has lost all of her independence because of a rare brain condition that's left her with no short-term memory.
Morag Blandford was diagnosed with encephalitis in 2019 and is still learning to live with the condition. A new survey has found more than 37% of sufferers have thought about ending their life. Grace Williams reports.
Morag begins each morning by writing down what she did the day before. It's her only way to remember. The folders in her kitchen, full of memories, are a reflection of the last 4 years since she was diagnosed with encephalitis. A rare condition which Morag says has robbed her of the last 10 years.
I'm actually more like a robot at the moment. I know I have to get up, I have to have a cup of tea, just the very, very basic things. I have to do my diary. I can't do things on the spur of the moment. I used to drive to work, come home, do my own thing. I'd go running on my own. Now, it's been absolutely terrible. I'm almost housebound.
Encephalitis is an inflammation of the brain. It can be caused by a viral infection or by a person's own immune system going wrong. And it can affect anyone at any age. The condition is hard to diagnose as it sometimes starts with flu-like symptoms, like a high temperature and a headache. Later, more serious symptoms can include confusion, seizures, changes in behaviour, difficulty speaking, and loss of consciousness. For many, the illness takes a mental toll as well as a physical one.
There can be a lot of loss associated with traumatic illness. And so, loss of people's employment, their occupation, difficulties returning to education, perhaps loss of people's marriage, for example, and generally struggling with life on a day-to-day basis in some cases.
With more than 6,000 cases of encephalitis in the UK each year, it's a condition we all need to be more aware of. And Morag says, more aware of the kindness needed for those around us.
They may not have broken arms or legs, a disability that we can physically see, but there could be something going on inside their head that we can't see. And if we give them a bit of breathing space, it relaxes them more as well, and it makes them feel better.
Grace Williams, ITV News, Windsor.
Heathrow Airport says it continued to make a loss throughout 2022. Annual losses reduced to £684 million. But bosses say inflation and lower passenger numbers had an impact. They say they remain optimistic about a further rebound in travel, with the busiest start to a year since before the pandemic.
The new budget has been agreed by West Oxfordshire District Council. It includes a council tax rise of 10 pence per week for the average Band D household. But free car parking across West Oxfordshire has been maintained.
Congratulations to Christine Walker from Buckinghamshire, who's become the county's longest-serving lollipop lady. Christine has been helping children cross the road for 4.5 decades, first picking up her lollipop in 1978. She's been applauded for her dedication.
Communities in Reading will be able to host their coronation street parties with no road closure fees. Celebrations will take place over Saturday the 6th, the 7th and Monday the 8th of May. People interested in hosting an event need to apply by the end of March, and we'd love to hear from you if you're holding a street party anywhere in the Thames Valley. Get in touch. The address ITV News Meridian at itv.com.
Now, you're watching ITV News Meridian. Still plenty to come on tonight's programme.
We are in Wantage meeting the Ukrainian entrepreneurs who 1 year on from fleeing the war have launched a cake business in their new hometown.
And while the weather may be fairly quiet, there is a bit of a treat for stargazers in the sky. I'll be back later with all the details and, of course, the full forecast.
Plenty more, of course, on our website. The address on the screen, there's the phone number, and as ever, you can follow us on social media. A campaign's been launched at a Sussex train station to encourage the public to engage in small talk with anyone who might be having suicidal thoughts. Samaritans is relaunching its Small Talk Saves Lives campaign, advising people to start a conversation if they think someone needs help.
I think just by having a chat with somebody, you're just distracting their feelings. If they're feeling a bit low, a bit distressed, just saying anything like the weather's nice today, or anything like where can we grab a coffee, or anything like that can just help distract the feelings if they're in distress.
Residents in Burgess Hill are so angry at a new traffic system, they're now considering a legal challenge to have it ripped out.
Businesses say they are losing trade, cyclists feel unsafe, and motorists have been getting stuck in huge tailbacks since the scheme was introduced.
It's not yet been completed, but the aim was to encourage more people to cycle and walk. But opponents say it won't work and there needs to be a U-turn. Andy Dickinson has the story.
Becky Adam presented 5 series of TV's Top Gear. She lives in Burgess Hill but has spent the last few months stuck in a low gear, or not even moving at all. A new traffic system bringing many of its residents to a furious standstill, and now the cusp of legal action.
Pretty quickly we're stuck in traffic. We're coming up to the missing mini roundabout. And it's only going to get worse. It's like an ideological iceberg and reality's just crashed into it. It's top down, dictates, but the idea just doesn't work on the ground. You can have a tailback. This morning, it seems to be going on for about a quarter of a mile.
For the last 20 years, Burgess Hill has been seen as a town ripe for development. A new cinema complex, a new library, a shopping centre, all promised but not delivered. Instead, they get this traffic scheme that seemingly nobody wants.
They've spent all the money, or are spending £4.7 million on a scheme which it's not only unfit for purpose, it's counter-purpose. It's dangerous, it actually reduces safety and it reduces amenity.
Well, at the moment it's quite dreadful because you can see all the roadworks going on. And the roads are just so narrow now because they've made them narrower to fit pedestrians and cyclists onto the pavement, a shared path, which really is too narrow for that. It's just not going to work. There's a hill behind me. Cyclists can easily be going 15 miles an hour or more on the pavement with pedestrians. It's just not safe.
The shopkeepers have lost business. People are actually now avoiding Burgess Hill. We do need to have more cyclists, and it'd be easier for cyclists, but that means also making sure that cyclists are happy and not having potholes. But being realistic, people can't do their weekly shop cycling.
Both Mid Sussex and West Sussex councils say they are listening to feedback and are revising their delivery plan for the government-funded project that hopes to improve safety and support a sustainable and prosperous economy. A laudable bid for harmony, so far driving Becky and others to distraction. Andy Dickinson, ITV News, Burgess Hill.
Now the ITV Evening News continues with the national and international news at 6:30. With the details for us this evening is Mary Nightingale.
Coming up on the programme, the latest on the shooting of a police detective in Northern Ireland. The shocking attack happened in front of the officer's son and other children. Will be live from Omagh. On the eve of the anniversary of Putin's invasion, we'll speak to soldiers on Ukraine's front line and some of the children who fled in terror a year ago. And
here's Gascoigne. Oh, brilliant! Oh, yes!
Tribute to Motti, the announcer who for millions was simply the voice of football, has died at the age of 77. Do join me for those stories and much more at 6:30.
Well, as we've been marking this week, tomorrow is exactly 1 year since Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
Well, tonight in a special programme on ITV1, our global security editor Rohit Kachri returns to Ukraine to see how people have been changed by the war.
In the first few weeks of the war, Mariupol was almost obliterated. Not even the maternity hospital was spared by Russian missiles.
When you're in the epicenter of this, you don't think about feelings. You just do your work, you just do anything to be alive.
And you can see more from Life and War, Ukraine a year on ITV1 from 9 o'clock tonight.
Well, two Ukrainian entrepreneurs who fled the war in their country are bringing the joy of cake to their new hometown of Wantage in Oxfordshire.
Well, since leaving Kyiv almost a year ago after abandoning their homes and jobs in the process, friends Aliona and Lara have launched a cafe, even borrowing a local kitchen to get their plan off the ground.
Charlotte Meridian went to meet them and to sample some of their special Ukrainian treats.
Can I get one of your lemon ones, please? Yes, please.
It's probably the first time Ukrainian mousse cake has been on sale in Wantage, but the secret is out.
When I last came, there were no cakes left, so I had to come back and try and get there early enough to get one.
So I came in yesterday, bought a couple, they were delicious, and I've come in and bought another one for my friends.
The cake shop was the idea of two professionals from Kyiv who fled the war. After not being able to find the sweet treats they missed from their home country, they decided to bring a taste of Ukraine to Oxfordshire.
We have no any experience related with food business, just have the first thought. Let's try to do something unusual for Wantage people. So we decided to create something fancy. That was our idea, and we started.
But there was a problem. The cafe premises lacked a suitable kitchen, so they put out a plea for help in the neighbourhood.
Have a good day.
A plea that was answered by Faith, who had met the two Ukrainian mums last year while giving English lessons for refugees.
We thought, well, we don't use our kitchen in the mornings, so maybe they'd be interested in coming here. And yes, we get the occasional very delicious treat, so that's nice.
Now, every morning, the desserts are handcrafted in Faith's kitchen. Even with the business going well, the two women can't gloss over the challenges of life so far from home.
Our parents are still in Ukraine, and there are no any safety territory in Ukraine. So it's difficult, but we need to move, we need to live, and we need to make our kids happy. That is the reason why we are staying in the UK.
The pair have big plans for their cafe, much to the delight of their host family, who's supported them throughout.
I think it's absolutely fabulous, and I'm really, really glad that my role as chief cake taster has been so important in the setting up of the cafe.
And the two entrepreneurs have one last thing to say to their adopted town.
I just want to say thank you for all Wantage community, because the British people, you're really amazing.
No doubt locals will want to thank them back. As though these puddings are served chilled, they're selling like hotcakes. Charlotte Breredney, ITV News, Wantage.
Well, they're more like works of art, aren't they, than cakes? I'm not sure I'd want to eat it. It looks too perfect.
They had me at the chocolate, if I'm honest. It looked absolutely fantastic.
Amazing work.
Yes. Now, it is the biggest arts festival in England, and this year's event promises to be one of the most ambitious in its 56-year history.
Yes, the lineup for the Brighton Festival has been announced, with hundreds of performers of every variety. And this year's theme is Gather Round, as Malcolm Shaw has been finding out.
Dance, drama, music and the spoken word. The Brighton Festival prides itself on the breadth of its vision. For a month, the city becomes the focus for a celebration of the arts in all their forms. This year, the guest director is Nabiha Iqbal, who trained as a barrister before her love of music took centre stage.
I actually can't believe that I've now been invited to be the guest director of Brighton Festival. It's a really nice feeling. There are so many different artists and musicians whom I really admire, and to be able to ask them to come, invite them to come and be a part of this festival is just, yeah, it's like a dream come true, honestly, and I just can't wait for it to all happen in May.
David Whip is the sculptor who is commemorating women's greatest victory for the Brighton Arts Festival.
The event began back in 1967 and has been at the cutting edge ever since.
One thing's for sure, this could be the start of something big.
One of the highlights this year, the world premiere of a new production of Galatea, written in the 1580s by Shakespeare's contemporary John Lilly.
It's a piece that's absolutely relevant to now. It's about welcoming outsiders, it's about joy and love, and really about including everybody. And we think that Galatea is a real symbol for now. It's in English and in British Sign Language as well, and it's, I think, a magnificent production. Arts and culture can bring people together, communities together, but they also contribute economically to a huge degree, and for somewhere like Brighton and Hove, that's absolutely the case.
Inclusivity underpins this year's theme of Gather Round. The festival starts on the 6th of May. The spectacular Children's Parade is one of the first events. Malcolm Shaw, ITV News, Brighton.
Oh, that's amazing.
Very flexible at the end there.
But I'm not sure anyone else could do that. Don't try it at home.
I'm not going to. No,
you end up in A&E. Weather time now. All quiet on the weather front, really.
Yeah, all quiet weather-wise, but there's still some excitement going on up there. We have the annual conjunction of Jupiter and Venus. What does that mean? It means that they're pretty close together. It happens every year, but this year they're much closer than they have been for decades. If you're wondering what you're looking for, then Andy Phelps has a wonderful example. This is what you would have seen if you'd looked skyward yesterday evening. So we've got the moon in the middle there, Jupiter up above it, and just down and to the right of it on the picture, we've got Venus. Gordon Bennett, wonderful name, a wonderful example. Again, looking like jewels just hanging in the sky. I would say if you want to capture a sight of it, then the next couple of days, couple of nights rather, are your best bet. They will be peaking in closeness come the 1st of March, but I think by then we'll have a bit more cloud on the scene.
OK, so it's getting cloudier. Is it getting colder?
It is getting a bit colder, yes. So the February average sits at around 8 Celsius. Look at what we had last week. We had almost double that, around 16 Celsius in parts of the region. This week, of course, much closer to average, but over the next few days, we're going to have a bit of a wind chill, a northeasterly wind. It's going to pick up as the days go on, and so it's going to feel more like 4 or 5 Celsius by day, and overnight, we're going to have some frosts as well. So a real change to what we got used to.
We've been talking about spring this week.
I know, it's coming, but we've just still got a bit of stuff to deal with before we get there.
One step forward, 2 steps back.
Just means more pictures from Gordon Bennett.
Yeah, that's true. Always a good thing. Let's get a check on the full forecast. Here's Pip.
Feels like home, whatever the weather. Valent Boilers and Heat Pumps sponsors ITV Meridian Weather.
So it's all been rather quiet out there again today. More of the same through the next few days. Quite a bit of cloud coming and going, but mostly dry, and it will feel that bit chillier than it has done of late. Of course, it's down to this area of high pressure, currently lingering to the west of the UK. It will gradually work its way eastwards through the course of the weekend, sitting right over us through Saturday and Sunday, settling things down, but bringing in a north to northeasterly wind, making it feel somewhat colder. Out there at the moment, the earlier cloud is clearing away southwards, and under largely clear skies through this evening and tonight, temperatures will take a bit of a dip. So a fairly widespread frost forming, albeit slight, and that will linger across southern parts into the night. A bit more cloud starting to come into the north there. So tomorrow morning, bit of a north-south split, bright and frosty down towards the south, cloudier up towards the north, and that cloud will sink its way southwards across all parts through the course of tomorrow. That is tied up with a weak weather front, so we could also see just a few spots of very light rain on that as well. And for all of us, a fairly fresh feeling sort of day, highs around 8 or 9 Celsius for most. These are the times of high water for tomorrow. Then for Ventnor, 1:30 in the morning, 1:37 in the afternoon. Now that weather front will continue on its journey southwards overnight into Saturday. So Saturday expected to be another clear and fairly frosty night, a bright day to follow, a bit more cloud on the way into the new week.
Valent sponsors ITV Meridian Weather.
Just time for a quick look ahead to our political programme, The Last Word, which is on at 10:45 tonight. Here's Phil Hornby.
Yes, MPs are getting angrier and angrier with the water companies. Sewage keeps getting pumped into rivers and the sea, and thousands of people in our region have been without a water supply. What can be done? Plus, Ukraine, 1 year on. And the future of the health service. Lots to talk about tonight. The Last Word after the late news.
Thanks, Phil. Now, but first, before all of that, the ITV Evening News with Mary Nightingale.
Stacey is back at 10:30ish with the late bulletin. We are back tomorrow,
I don't know
of
why
course.
I'm smiling.
I don't know. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you very soon. Take care.
See you tomorrow. Good night.
Bye-bye.